On the 19th of December 2003, Bank of America made one phone call, and Europe's largest dairy company collapsed within hours, 4 billion euros sitting in a Cayman Islands account. The bank said it simply did not exist. A week earlier, Parmalat had missed a payment of only 150 million euros, a fraction of the cash it claimed to hold. That single missed payment triggered questions nobody could answer, and the questions kept multiplying. Within days, employees inside Parmalat's offices in Calisto, Italy were shredding documents and wiping hard drives. Weeks later, the company filed for insolvency, one of the largest bankruptcies in European history. Its founder, Calisto Tanzi, once celebrated as a national hero, was arrested and jailed. He would later admit to prosecutors that a 10 billion euro hole ran through his company's books. To understand how a milk company hit a hole that size, we have to go back 4 decades to a small dairy in northern Italy, back to 1961, and a young man named Calisto Tanzi. Tanzi was the son of a dairy farmer, and in 1961 he took over the family's small pasteurized milk business. Within a few years, that small business had grown into one of the largest dairy companies in Italy. Parmalat's real breakthrough was not milk, it was marketing. The company built its brand by sponsoring sports teams and global events, turning a dairy company into a household name. By the 2000s, Parmalat operated in more than 30 countries, selling milk, juice, and dairy products worldwide. But Tanzi's ambitions reached beyond dairy. He poured company money into ventures that had nothing to do with milk. One of those ventures was Parma's football club, which the family controlled. By 2003, more than 100 million euros had drained out of Parmalat and into that club alone. Publicly, Parmalat looked like a thriving global company with mountains of cash on its balance sheet. Privately, by the late 1990s, the company was already drowning in debt from years of unchecked expansion. Instead of admitting the debt, Tanzi and his executives built something else entirely, a machine for hiding it. That machine ran through a web of shell companies scattered across offshore tax havens. At the center of it sat a company called Parmalat Financing Corporation, registered in the Cayman Islands. Parmalat's official job was simple: hold assets. Its real job was very different. Losses and fake assets that would have wrecked Parmalat's real books were quietly dumped inside Parmalat instead. On paper, Parmalat looked healthy. In reality, it was a graveyard for numbers that could not survive daylight. Auditors needed proof the numbers were real, so Parmalat's records manufactured proof. One filing claimed Parmalat had sold an enormous shipment of powdered milk to a buyer in Cuba. The volume implied was so large it worked out to about 55 gallons of milk for every single person on the island in 1 year. Parmalat's crown jewel, though, was a single number: nearly 4 billion euros, supposedly sitting untouched in a Bank of America account. For years, that fictional cash cushion let Parmalat borrow more, expand further, and keep the illusion alive. But in February 2003, the illusion nearly broke early. Parmalat's chief financial officer, Fausto Tonna, announced a surprise bond issue worth 300 million euros. The announcement blindsided Tanzi himself, who had not approved it. Markets reacted instantly. Parmalat's stock price fell roughly 30% in a matter of days. Tanzi fired Tonna and canceled the bond offering, hoping to stop the bleeding. But investors and analysts were already asking the one question Parmalat could not survive: where exactly was all this cash Parmalat claimed to hold? Tanzi's answer was not an explanation, it was an accusation. He filed a 34-page complaint accusing major investment banks, including Lehman Brothers, of spreading false rumors to destroy his company. The accusation bought Parmalat a few more months. It did not buy the truth away. On the 8th of December 2003, the deadline for that 150 million euro Eurobond payment finally arrived. Parmalat could not pay it, despite claiming more than 4 billion euros in cash on its books. The default was the first crack the world could actually see. Parmalat's bond rating was slashed to junk within hours. The stock price, already wounded, fell even further. Investigators and auditors turned their full attention to Parmalat, and to the Bank of America account behind it. On the 19th of December, Bank of America gave its answer, the letter confirming that account was a forgery. Someone inside Parmalat had typed it up on Bank of America letterhead and signed a name that was never authorized to sign it. Nearly 4 billion euros, the foundation the entire company stood on, had never existed at all. Within days, Parmalat collapsed into insolvency, and Tanzi's decades-long empire came apart in a matter of hours. Investigators eventually placed Parmalat's real debt near 14 billion euros, roughly 8 times what the company had ever reported. Tanzi admitted to prosecutors that around 620 million euros had been quietly siphoned into his family's failing travel businesses. Prosecutors believed the true figure funneled out could be closer to $1 billion. The company's American investors were left holding about $1.5 billion in worthless bonds and notes. The United States Securities and Exchange Commission called it one of the most brazen corporate frauds in history. An Italian court eventually convicted 11 people, including Tana, whose bond announcement had first cracked the illusion open. Parmalat itself did not disappear. Under a new administrator, it was restructured and relisted on the Milan Stock Exchange. 35,000 jobs had hung in the balance the moment that one phone call came through. Parmalat is remembered today alongside Enron and WorldCom, proof that even a company selling something as ordinary as milk can hide a debt the size of a small country's economy. The warning is always the same: fraud rarely fails quietly, it fails all at once, the moment someone finally asks to see the receipts.